Hello everybody and welcome back to Doki Literature Club. I am now Crazy and this is Doki Literature Club. I will admit I have been drinking tonight, which is one of the reasons why I was continuing this, because I started this series drinking. So I was like, fuck it, I'll continue this series drinking. So, okay. I don't remember anything that was going on in the last episode, but which girl do I want to go for? See, that's one thing I know about this game is depending on which words you choose, kind of leads towards which girl you end up going for. I don't remember which girl I was going for before. Tempted to go for Yuri. Can't remember if that's what I was doing before. Let's go with empty, blankets, dark, inferno, explode, tragedy, unrequited, massacre, frightening, bliss, disaster, misery, alone. Okay, from what I've half seen, from what I've been clicking so far, I might be somewhere between Yuri and I can't remember her name, but this one, the one furthest to the left. Hopeless, unending, entropy, incongruent, effulgent, and disown. Covet. I'm not sure if that was more Yuri than the other one. Hi again, Durf. Oh fuck yeah, my nickname's Durf, which is a reference to a fairly old film, Short Circuit. Right, where am I? Right, glad to see you. Didn't run away on us. Ha 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 ha. Nah, don't worry. This might be a little strange for me, but at least I keep my word. But I at least keep my word, sorry. Well, I'm back at the Literature Club. I was the last to come in, so everyone else is already hanging out. Thanks for keeping your promise, Durf. I hope this isn't too overwhelming of a commitment for you, making you dive headfirst into literature when you're not accustomed to it. Oh, come on, like he deserves any slack. So you already told me you didn't even want to join any clubs this year, and last year too. I don't know if you plan to just come here and hang out or what, but if you don't take it seriously, then you won't see the end of it. Natsuki, you certainly have a big mouth for someone who keeps her manga collection in the club room. Natsuki finds herself stuck between saying Monica and manga. Monica manga. Manga is literature. Swiftly defeated, Natsuki plops back into her seat. Don't worry, guys. Durf always gives it his best as long as he's having fun. He helps me with busy work without me even asking, like cooking, cleaning my room. How dependable. Sayori, that's because your room is so messy it's distracting. And you almost set your house on fire once. Is that so? You two are really good friends, aren't you? I might be a little jealous. How come? You and Duff can become good friends too. Sayori. As usual, Sayori seems oblivious to the weird situation she just put me into. Oh, Yuri even brought you something today, you know? Whoa, hey, Sayori. Me? Not really. Don't be shy. It's really nothing. What is it? Never mind. Sayori made it sound like a big deal when it's really not. What do I do? Hey, I'm sorry, Yui. I wasn't thinking. I guess that means it's up to me to rescue the situation. Hey, don't worry about it. First of all, I wasn't expecting anything in the first place, so any nice gesture from you is a pleasant surprise. It'll make me happy no matter what. Is that so? Yeah, I won't make it a big deal if you don't want it to be. Alright. Well, here. Yuri reaches into her bag and pulls out a book. I didn't want you to feel left out, so I picked out a book that I thought you might enjoy. It's short, so it should keep your attention, even if you don't usually read. And we could, discuss it if you wanted. This is... How is this girl accidentally being so cute? She even picked out a book she thinks I'll like, despite me not reading much. Yui, thank you. I'll definitely read this. I enthusiastically take the book. Phew. Well, you can read it at your own pace. I look forward to hearing what you think. Now that everyone's settled in, I expected Monica to kick off some scheduled activities for the club, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Sayori and Manuka, not Monica, Manuka, are having a cheery conversation in the corner. Yuri's face is already buried in a book. I can't help but notice how intense? Yes, intense, because apparently we are off camping somewhere. Intense expression. Like she was waiting for this chance. Meanwhile, Natsuki is rummaging around in the closet. Which one do I go to? I'm really curious to talk to Yuri a little bit more. But at the same time, I'd feel bad for distracting her from reading. I catch a glimpse of the cover of her book. It looks like the same book that she lent to me. More than that, she seems to be on the first few pages. Crap. I think she noticed me looking at her. She sneaks another glance at me, and our eyes meet for a split second. But that only makes her hide her face deeper in her book. Sorry. I was just spacing out. I might have this. Something I made her uncomfortable. Oh. It's fine. If I was focused, then I probably wouldn't have noticed in the first place. But I'm just rereading a bit of this, so... That's the book you gave me, right? I wanted to reread it, some of it. Not for any particular reason. Just curious, how come you have two copies of the same book? Well, when I stopped at the bookstore yesterday, that's not what I meant. I mean, I just happened to buy two copies of the two books. Oh, I see. There's something fairly obvious here that Yui isn't telling me, but I decided to let it go. I'll definitely start reading it soon. I'm glad to hear. Once it starts to pick up, you might have a hard time putting it down. It's a very engaging and relatable story. Is that so? What's it about anyway? Well, Yui closes the book and scans her eyes over the back. The book is titled Portrait of Markov. That bastard from Call of Duty. I'm gonna fucking shoot him right in the face. There's an ominous looking eye symbol on the front cover. Alright. I just wanted to make sure I don't accidentally give anything away. Basically, it's about this girl in high school who moves in with her long lost younger sister, but as soon as she does so, her life gets really strange. She gets targeted by these people who escaped from a human experiment prison, and while her life is in danger, she needs to desperately choose who to trust. No matter what she does, she ends up destroying most of her relationships, and her life starts to fall apart. It's kind of dark, isn't it? Yui made it sound like it was going to be a nice story, so that dark turn came from nowhere. Yui gently giggles. All of a sudden, are you not a fan of that sort of thing? Duff. No, it's not that. I mean, I can definitely enjoy those kinds of stories, so don't worry. I hope so. Yeah, I totally forgotten that Yui is into those things. She's so shy and reclusive on the outside, but her mind seems to be completely different. It's just that those kinds of stories, they challenge you to look at life from a strange, new perspective when horrible things happen. Not just because someone wants to be evil, but because they have their own goals or their own philosophy that they believe in. Then suddenly, when you thought you related to the protagonist, that they're made out to be the naive one for letting their one-sided morals interfere with their villain's plans. I'm rambling, aren't I? Not again. I'm sorry. Hey, don't apologize. I haven't lost interest or anything. Well, I guess it's alright then, but I feel like I should let you know that I have this problem when I let things like books and writing fill my thoughts. I kind of forget to pay attention to other people. So I'm sorry if I end up saying not staying something strange. Hey, quite a lot of alliteration right there. It's almost as if I'm in a book about a thing, about a game, about interpretations of literature club. And please, stop me if I start talking too much. I really don't think you need to worry. That just means you're passionate about reading. The least I can do is listen. It's a literature club after all. Well, that's true. In fact, I might as well get started reading it, right? You don't have to. What are you saying? Just a moment ago you said you were looking forward to it. Let me just get the book. I quickly retrieved the book that I had put into my bag. Alright, it's fine if I sit here, right? I slip into the seat next to Yuri's. Yeah. You sure? You seem a little apprehensive. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't want you to. It's just something I'm not very used to. This is reading in company with someone. I mean, that is reading in company with someone. I see. Well, just tell me if I end up distracting you. Or anything. Alright. I open the book and start the prologue. I soon understand what Yuri means about reading in the company. It's as if I can feel her presence over my shoulder as I read. It's not a particularly bad thing. Maybe a little distracting, but the feeling is somewhat comforting. Yuri is in the corner of my eye. I realise that she's not actually looking at her own book. I glance over. It looks like she's reading from my book instead. Sorry. It was just... Yuri, you really apologise a lot, don't you? I do. I don't really mean to. Sorry. I mean... Sorry. That wasn't supposed to be Yuri's voice. That was supposed to be my voice. Here. This should work, right? I slide my desk until it's up against Yuri's, then hold my book more between the two of them. I suppose so. Yuri timidly closes her own copy. Once we lean in a little bit, our shoulders are almost touching. It feels like my left arm is in the way, so instead I use my right hand to hold the book open. I guess that makes it kind of difficult to turn the page. Here. Yuri takes her left arm and holds the left side of the book between her thumb and forefinger. I do the same with my right arm on the right side of the book. That way, I turn a page and Yuri slides it under her thumb after it flips to her side. But in holding it like this, we're held even closer together than before. It's actually kind of distracting me. It's as if I can feel the warmth of Yuri's face as she's in the corner of my vision. Are you ready? Huh? To turn the page. Oh, sorry. I think I got a bit distracted for a second. I glance over at Yuri's face again, and our eyes meet. I don't know how I'll be able to keep up with her. That's okay. You're not as used to reading. Right. I don't mind being patient if it takes you a bit longer. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. It's probably the least I can do. Right? You don't want me to do more than this, do you? Since you've been so patient with me, I'll be patient with you. You take your time to do what you need to do. Yeah. Thanks. We continue reading. Quote unquote reading. Yuri no longer asks me if I'm ready to turn the page. Instead, I just assume that she finishes the page before me, so I turn it by my own volition. We continue the first chapter in complete and utter boring silence. Even so, turning each page almost feels like an intimate exchange. My thumb gently letting go of the page, letting it flutter to her side as she catches it under her own thumb. Hey Yuri, this might be a silly thought, but the main character kind of reminds me of you a little bit. You think so? How does she? Well, I guess she's more blunt in a lot of ways, but she also second guesses all of the things that she says and does, like she's afraid she'll do something wrong. It's not like I can see into your head or anything, but they're kind of reminiscent of some of your mannerisms. I see. You remain silent for a moment. But that's probably a terrible thing to have in common with her. That's so embarrassing that you think that. Wait! I didn't mean it in a bad way or anything. Sorry, I really didn't know you were self-conscious about that sort of thing. I guess I more mean that it's kind of cute. What are you saying all of a sudden? Okay, everyone. I think it's about time we share today's poems with each other. We might not have enough time if we wait too long. Yuri exhales, spared from finishing her thought. Is that alright, Yuri? You look kinda down. I'm sorry if you haven't been looking forward to this. It's not. It's fine. Yuri releases her hand from the book, causing it to close on top of my thumb. Alright. I guess I'll do some more reading tonight. Or would you prefer I only read it with you? I guess I don't have too much of a preference either way. In that case, I'll read a little more tonight. It'll be more fun to read with you after it picks up a bit. You know. That's good reasoning. In that case, feel free to finish the first 2 chapters in your own time. Alright. I stand up. I'll make a mental note of where I left off in the book, then slip it back into my bag. By the way, did you remember to write a poem last night? Yeah, of course I did. My relaxation ends. I can't believe I agreed to do something so embarrassing. Couldn't really find much inspiration, since I've never really done this before. Well, now that everyone's ready, why don't you find someone to share with? I can't wait. Sayori and Monica enthusiastically pull out their poems. Sayori's is on a wrinkled sheet of loose leaf torn from a spiral notebook. On the other hand, Monica wrote hers in a composition notebook. I can already see Monica's pristine handwriting from where I sit. Natsuki and Yuri reluctantly comply as well, reaching into their bags. I do the same myself. I'm debating between Yuri and Sayori. I'm tempted to go with Yuri after what we've just been through with our thumbs flicking pages between each other so sensually, and yeah. Yuri seems the most experienced, so I should start with her. Throw yourself in at the deep end. That's the lesson to be learned from this, kids. Because kids watch this. Because of course there's some stupid kids out there watching my videos. I can trust her opinion, to be fair. As Yuri reads the poem, I notice her eyes lighten up. No, just lighten. Not lighten up, just lighten. Exceptional. Huh? What was that? Did I say that out loud? Yuri first covers her mouth, but then it ends up covering her whole face. He's going to hate me. You really didn't do anything wrong, Yuri. That's... I guess you're right. What am I getting so nervous for? So, what kind of writing experience do you have? Your use of imagery and metaphors indicates you've written a lot of poetry before. Really? Wow. That's a huge compliment coming from you. This is actually my first time. Really? Huh? Yuri stares at me blankly, then looks at my poem again, then looks back at me, then looks to my poem, then looks back at me. Well, I know that. I just meant, Yuri trails off, unable to find an excuse. She traces her finger along the words in the poem as if breaking it down more thoroughly. Yeah, okay. This is the reason I was able to tell. It's just that there are specific writing habits that are usually typical of new writers. And having been through that myself, I kind of learned to pick it up on them. I think the most noticeable thing I recognise in new writers is that they try to make it their style, very deliberate. In other words, they tend to pick a writing style separate from the topic matter, and they fit the two together. The end result is that both the style and the expressiveness are weakened. Once Yuri finds her train of thought, it's as if her demeanour totally changes. Her stammering is completely gone, and she sounds like an expert. Of course, that's not something you can be blamed for. There are so many different skills and techniques that go into writing even a simple poem. Not just that finding them and building them, but getting them to work together is probably the most challenging part. It might take you some time, but it all comes with practice and learning by example. I mean, just look at my amazing poems and trying new things. I also hope that everyone else in the club gives you valuable feedback. Natsuki can be a little bit biased though. Biased? How? Well, never mind. I shouldn't be talking about people like that. Sorry. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not sure if Yuri is apologising to herself, to me, or to Natsuki, or all of the above. Do you mind if I read your poem now? Please, do. I'd love to share my thought process behind it. Yuri smiles dreamily, as if it's a rare opportunity to her, which itself is kind of funny. After all, isn't this supposed to be a literature club? ghost under the light. The tendrils of my hair illuminate, bereft the amber glow, bathing. It must be this one, the last remaining streetlight to have withstood the test of time, the last yet to be replaced by the sickening blue-green hue of the future. I bathe, calm, breathing air of the present, but living in the past. The light flickens. I flicken back. I'm sorry I have such terrible handwriting. What? I wasn't thinking that at all. But it took you a long time to read. Well, I just don't read script very often. I actually think your handwriting is pretty. That's a relief. I also like the poem. Even though it's short, it was really descriptive. It wasn't too short. I usually write longer poems. No. I'm really glad you like it. I'll be honest. Since it's our first time sharing, I wanted to write something a little more mild. Something easy to digest, I suppose. Are you into ghosts, Yuri? Actually, that story isn't about a ghost at all, Durf. Really? I must have totally missed the point. Well, I suppose you did only glance over it after all. Well, I'm sorry everyone, but I think this is where I'm going to save this episode. So, thank you everyone for watching. Feel free to tell me how stupid I am, how stupid the games I play. Thank you, and good night.